Are you guys ready? Because I am ready. By me making this video in mid-August, I am trying to manifest the fall vibes. Even though I'm sweating right now, we're trying to get past that and we are trying to look ahead into fall and pretend we're there, because that's where I want to be, because fall is the superior season in my mind. If you didn't see the title, what we are going to be doing today is my fall book recs and then TBR. Let's get started because we want to get into fall. The first fall rec I'm going to give you guys is a series. So there's two parts to this. First, we have the Kiss of Deception trilogy. So this goes first, and then you get into Dance of Thieves, which you don't have to read Kiss of Deception first, but you should. This follows our main girl, Laya. So she is a princess in her kingdom, and she is set to marry this prince from another kingdom. And she's like, yeah, you know, actually I don't want to do that. So she kind of runs away. I think it's even on the wedding day. She escapes away to this village. Throughout this book, you have two guys who are trying to find her. One of them is, I forget what they go by. One of them is the assassin and the other one is the prince, and that is all you know them by when you're in their perspectives. But then when you're in Leah's perspective, you know them by name, but you don't know which name correlates with the prince or the assassin. So throughout the whole story, you're trying to figure out which guy is which, and also just, you know, who to trust, who not to trust, all of that. So you're following her as she tries to escape. And what I really love about this series is the characters in it. I feel like it's definitely a more character driven series. The plot is a little lackluster in some parts and it does kind of drag out, and I definitely have heard that a lot from a bunch of other people, is that it's drug out and boring and kind of slow. But for me, if you fall in love with the characters like I did, you will not really care about that, you know what I mean? And I feel like this is just a world that's really easy to understand, and I feel like this world is super understandable and just like really easy to picture. Like I really feel like I understood the world in this well. And then after that series, you go into Dance of Thieves, which is set in the same world. It's set after the Kiss of Deception series. Basically in this book, main girl and this Kazi, I think, I hate saying fantasy names because I will always butcher it, her and two other girls from the Queen's Guard go on this mission. Basically it's kind of like a cat and mouse story about these characters, but like just know it's so much more than that. Like there's family stuff, family secrets, all of that. And I really love this series so much because especially in Vow of Thieves, the story gets so deep. If you read the Kiss of Deception first, you'll have such a good understanding of this world. So I really liked that, how I already knew the world good in this one and was able to connect even more to this series. I think I gave all these books in both series at least 4 stars to 5 stars, so that says a lot. Okay, this one's kind of random. So we have Bewitched by Lauren Thalassa. This is about our main girl Celine, and she is basically trying to get into this school academy for witches. So that's kind of why I thought it'd be like a fall vibe book, because it's like school time, witches, all of those things. Basically, she ends up on this trip. I don't remember where it was. She awakens this supernatural force. It's kind of this guy she awakens to, and when he like, you know, comes to, he's like, you're my wife. Like he just claims that she's his wife. So you're just like, what the actual hell? Like this guy is he like hundreds and thousands of years old and she's like what, 20? So you're just like confused. So there's mysteries and then there's murders on the campus of the school, so you're trying to figure out those two and also like who this guy is. I ended up giving this one 3 stars or 3.5, something like that. To me, I just didn't connect with the characters and it didn't feel, I don't know, it was just kind of weird to me, I guess. I don't know. I do think it was still a fun time and perfect for the season because you get like the witchy school vibe. And then how could I not mention Thorn of Glass? I'm sorry. This series is absolutely incredible. I could go on and on, but I'm gonna save you guys from that. I read Assassin's Blade first, which a lot of people kind of disagree with, but I really liked that for me because the way my brain works is like when something's mentioned in a book, I need to know like everything about it. Like I can't be left on a cliffhanger or anything. I need to know. So when reading Assassin's Blade first, I was able to go into the series more invested in Selena and the other characters too, and just know more background about her, and I feel like that made me like the series more because I was more connected going in from the beginning. I also just feel like it hit more when things would be mentioned in, you know, the second, third, fourth book, and I already knew the background to it. I like wasn't questioning what it meant, so I feel like it hit more. But if you don't know what the series series is about. So Assassin's Blade is kind of like a prequel. There's, I think, 5 little short stories about our main character Selena that really give you a lot of insight about her life and the things she's been through and done. In the first book, Throne of Glass, Selena gets plucked out of this like prison thing and gets chosen to compete in the king's trials, and if she wins, she is the king's personal assassin. So you watch her through those trials and all of that, and then from there the series just gets better and better and better. Please read Throne of Glass. I'm begging. Another kind of longer fantasy series, we have the Madoran Chronicles series. This is actually the second and third book. So this follows our main girl, Alec, and she is just a normal human, and one day she goes to this like boarding school. She walks through the door and suddenly she's transported to another world. So you're just kind of following her navigating that and just figuring out what the heck happened and how, you know, how to live in that world. And there is a school in this world that she attends, and each book kind of follows a year in her school. So I think there's 5 total books and some novellas. I'm on the 5th book right now and it's going so good. I love this series. What I love most about this series is the found family. There is so many good friends in her lives, and there's just so many different types of characters that she grows to meet and care for. And I really like the world this is set in because it's very, very unique, and there's lots of different parts of the world and different aspects, different types of people, creatures, and all of that. This series has been really good so far, and I can't wait to finish the book I'm on because it's the last one and everything has led up to this moment. So definitely pick this series up. It's definitely a little more slow paced and kind of character driven. Like, it's not super action packed all the time. It is a little more mundane. And this is a book I read recently. We have These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This one, I haven't continued the series yet, but I know that I really enjoyed this one. I think I gave it 4.25. So this is like a loose Juliet. What? Juliet and Romeo? No. That's what I almost said. It's Romeo and Juliet. Anyways, this is a loose Romeo and Juliet retelling. So her name is literally Juliet, and then his name is Roma. Basically, she is part of one gang, the Scarlets, and what's his name called? And then he is in a different gang, the White Flowers. So you're basically following them. Their gangs kind of clash. And those two characters, I loved them both so much. Like, I can't wait to continue the series and see how they develop as people and their relationship develops. But so you're following this like kind of war between the gangs, and also there is murders going on in their town, city, whatever. They kind of end up being forced to work together to figure out what's going on with these murders. So I really liked that, how they had to come together and work to figure that out. I enjoyed the mystery aspect a lot in this one and the characters, and I felt like this world was just very interesting, and Chloe Gong's writing was incredible. So I highly recommend this one, especially for like the fall season, because it is kind of more dark and just, you know, there's murder mystery aspect, which I feel like definitely gives fall. And then we have the Ember and the Ashes series. This is one of my favorite series ever, you guys, and I feel like it definitely needs more hype. This follows our main girl Leia, and so one day she's just like chilling at home, whatever, and her brother gets taken. He gets arrested for treason and taken away. So she's like, I really want to get my brother back, you know what I mean? So she basically offers her help to the rebels, who in exchange for her help say they will rescue her brother, which what she needs to do for them is go in as a spy to the Empire's military academy, which that's like not an easy place to spy, obviously. And there's also obviously a guy on the cover, Elias, or it might be Ilias. It's never what I think it is for pronunciation in fantasy books. So he is, I think he's someone powerful's son. I don't really remember because I read this probably 2 years ago, but he's like the top warrior basically. And their paths kind of cross, and the series really develops after the first book too and gets really good. Please read it. I listened to a lot of this series on audiobook and really enjoyed it that way, but I think it'd be completely incredible physically too. The next series that, again, I will force down your throat if you haven't read, we have, so first of all, the Shadow and Bone World, which technically goes before this. You don't have to read it. A lot of people recommend not reading it, but I liked it personally. It's again more mundane, not as action packed, but I still really enjoyed the characters of it and the world. So if you want to read that first, you can. Don't have to. But then set in the same world is the Six of Crows universe duology, which is one of my favorite duologies ever. So this one follows a group of 5 people who are set to go on this heist for just a ton of money. Just the way they all come together and work together is so incredible to see, and this is like probably the book with like the top found family like ever that I've read. It is so incredible, and these characters are so good. There's some romance in here, and the mission they go on just keeps you on your toes shows because you're like, guys, this is so dangerous. Like, you guys have to pull this off or I'm gonna freak out, you know? So I love this series. This world is really pretty easy to understand and it's super interesting. I feel like perfect for the fall winter time because it's just more dark and dreary, and if you like, the show kind of shows that. If you've watched the show on Netflix or will after reading this, I highly recommend. The second one, Crooked Kingdom, just as good, about another heist mission type thing. Still the amazing found family and vibes, and please read this series. Following along with the duology trend, we have One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. So this one is about our main girl Elspeth, and in this world it's kind of taken over by this fog. So again, it has a dark, dreary vibe, and in this world there are these magical cards that each has a different power, and there's one of them that is missing. And then so Elspeth, she kind of has like, it's hard to explain it, she has like a monster trapped in her head, Nightmare, and I don't really want to say more about that because obviously you learn more about it as the book and series goes on. Basically, you're following Elspeth and the journey she has to take to try and help save the kingdom from the mist that happens, and I really enjoyed the characters in this book. They're really, really good, and I feel like the fantasy elements in this book are kind of more simple. The thing that got a little confusing for me was more in the second book, the character names. Like, I feel like you're just kind of introduced to this massive family tree, and that got a little confusing for me, but I still really enjoyed this duology. These are both like 4 to 5 star books, so highly recommend. And then I feel like I talk about this series all the time, but the Prison Healer series, this is like a 5-star series for me. I don't know why I loved it so much, but this follows our main girl Kiva, and she is the prison healer at this like very, very intense prison where basically you're gonna die once you get there because it's bad. The rebel queen is captured and she gets sent to like the infirmary where Kiva is working and is supposed to be treated by her, but the queen is in such bad shape, and the queen was also supposed to compete in these trials soon at the prison, and Kiva basically has to take her place in that because the queen is so sick and she like can't heal her fast enough. It's kind of hyped out to be this like big trials, which they were kind of a letdown. Like, it wasn't as much of a big deal as I thought it would be. It probably could be more mundane and boring for some people, but I still really enjoyed those aspects of her being at the prison, because I feel like throughout her time as the healer and when you saw like her working her day-to-day life, there's lots of little like snippets of information and details and hints throughout that time, and I just found it really interesting learning about the prison system and the other inmates, the characters, her work, all of that. That is this first book, and there is a tiny bit of romance in here. There's also like this plague going on in the prison, so she's trying to figure that out as well. There's a lot of little like side plots going on. And then the series goes on into book 2 and 3, which are also incredible, and it kind of takes a turn, and I really enjoyed that turn it took. So I really, really love this series and the direction it went, and I love Lynette Nani's writing, and I feel like this is a pretty easy fantasy series to understand if you're just starting out. It's also YA. We have one more fantasy to talk about, and then we will switch to mystery and then romance. I'm trying not to talk about the books I could talk about for every video ever, like ACOTAR, Magnolia Parks, all of that. Fourth Wing, but this is one, oh, okay, Fourth Wing would be really good for the fall. I won't go on, but Divine Rivals. This book, I think it may even be set in like that time. Like, I just pictured it like rainy when they were in the city. So this follows Iris and Roman, aka one of my favorite book couples ever. Iris's brother, I cannot think of his name right now and it's gonna bug me, but he is sent away to help fight in the war that's going on between two gods who are, they're beefing hard, which that's kind of really, in the first book at least, the main fantasy element is just the gods, their history, and their war. Like, other than that, it's like pretty normal. Like, there's some magical elements, but other than that, it's not super like intense world or magic. So it starts off with Iris, and she thinks she's writing letters to her brother, but it turns out Roman's actually getting them. So they kind of spark up like a pen pal type situation. They both actually work at the same place, but like they don't really know they're sending letters to each other, so they're rivals at work. So it starts off workplace enemies to lovers type romance, and then I didn't know what like the main plot or storyline was, so I was kind of caught off guard when it happened. I'm gonna zip my lips so you can also be, you know, caught off guard and go into the story kind of blind, because that's when it gets so much better. I really love their relationship so much. Roman in this is like king. This was a 5-star. And then for a few mystery recs, honestly, I haven't read a lot of thrillers this year, so there's not really many thrillers, but there is some like mystery books. First up, we have The Reappearance of Rachel Price. So this is by Holly Jackson, who is the queen of YA mystery books. I absolutely love this one. It is about our main girl, Belle, and she has lived almost her entire life with her mom being missing. Like, her mom, Rachel Price, is nowhere to be seen. Like, the case is like cold as heck. And so they are actually starting a Netflix documentary on the case, and when that like is in progress, that they are filming, Rachel Price appears. So Bella's like trying to figure out what happened because her mom's been gone for like over 10 years. So she's like, how are you back right now? Like, what is going on? Like, just obviously joyful, but in shock that she's back. So you're trying to figure out what happened to Rachel Price and, you know, where she was, what happened to her, and also seeing the family and adapting to, you know, just the mom and wife just reappearing 15 years later. I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4.5 stars actually, which is such a good rating. My only critique is that the main girl, Belle, in this kind of annoyed me a little bit. Like, some of the things she said, I was just like, girl, how could you even say that out loud? But overall, I really enjoyed it, and it really kept me on my toes, and I was entertained from the front to the end. I have heard some people say it slows down. I could see how it does for some people, but for me, I loved it. And then this is a mystery series. We have The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, who is also the queen of YA mystery. So The Naturals is a series about these teenagers who are naturally gifted in some way or another. So like, one of them's good with statistics, seeing emotions, just like reading people, I guess, is one. So they are basically enlisted to help the FBI with cold cases and just, you know, solve the mysteries, whatever. And I really liked this story because there is a sense of found family with the kids, because, you know, they're all kind of different in the sense that they have an ability that not everybody else has. I really enjoyed seeing them help the FBI because I've always been interested in like Criminal Minds and crime shows, all of that. So I really liked that, and I loved just how the series progressed, and especially it's one of those series where the last book kind of ties everything in from the first book, like little details, like character traits, all of that. So I really loved that. And I don't want to say much more, but each book kind of follows a different case that they're in. So all of them have different vibes and are super entertaining and fun. Like, this one's in a casino. This one is like a serial killer. Yeah, they all just kind of follow a different case, and then we're just super entertaining, and I love them so much. This is a great series if you like Criminal Minds. Hey, also, I literally just finished filming, but I forgot to talk about Finley Donovan is killing it. So this book is kind of like a cozy mystery, like comedy mystery book. So it's about Finley Donovan, who she is hired to kill someone actually, but she's not a hit woman. Someone overhears her talking about one of her new mystery suspense novels in a Panera, and she basically slides her a note and it's like, hey, like, money for killing so-and-so. So you kind of follow Finley along with that decision of, you know, what to do, what not to do, because she does need the money, but like, obviously it's like killing someone, so it's like not good at all. So you follow her, and then there is 3 more books in the series, which are all so amazing as well. And again, it's just like silly mystery vibes, and I love this series so much because there's actually a lot going on under the surface, and I really enjoyed it. And the characters are so funny and entertaining. There's also some romance, so it really has it all. I totally recommend. And then I feel like this is the perfect bridge between the mystery and romance drama, because the mystery and drama, what did I just say? Between the mystery and romance category, because this is like a mystery suspense romance book, and it is also one of my 5 stars of the year. We have Unwanted by Mia Sheridan. This cover definitely gives fall vibes, like the cabin, the woods, all of that. It is mostly set in the winter time, so like maybe like end of fall, but I feel like the setting, the woods, the leaves, just read this book. So this follows our main girl Harper, who is a wilderness guide, and she is summoned to the sheriff's office to help with this double murder investigation that happened in their small town. So it's like weird because it's a small town, so stuff like this doesn't happen. And there is a main suspect in this book named Lucas, and he is a man who has been living in the woods by himself for 20 years, 15 years, something like that, like something crazy, surviving starting on his own, no help for that long. So you get the murder mystery plot, and you get his life story and what he's been through, and you get the romance too, which I'd say kind of more, I don't know, it's like 50-50 split between like the mystery, the past, and then just learning more about both of the characters, and also the romance too. Like, it does such a good balance of, you know, not being super romance heavy, not being super like mystery heavy, and this book is just so deep and emotional. Like, you will be crying, you'll be laughing, you'll be mad, and there is just so much going on in this book. It's actually insane. The more I'm sitting here, the more I remember about it, and I'm like, holy crap, how did Mia Sheridan even do that? So this was incredible. This is one of my top reads of the year. Definitely go pick this up for this season, or literally any time. Like, just go read this book. One more Mia Sheridan book, because I was looking at my romance shelf and I was like, none of these scream fall to me. So this one is like very popular, but I still wanted to talk about it because I feel like it does fit the fall vibe, because it is like small town. I also just wanted to talk about it by this one, because if you do pick up this one, or if you liked this one, vice versa. Basically, this is set in another small town, and our main girl meets Archer, and he doesn't talk at all. So you're trying to learn more about him, what happened to him, why he doesn't speak. Just watching their relationship bloom, you're following our main girl too and the stuff she's going through, and I really enjoyed learning about the town in this book, because it is very interesting to read about, because there's a lot going on in the town and a lot that's happened. So you're trying to figure that out. There's some characters in here who are entertaining, I guess we'll say, and I just really liked the vibes of this, because it's the small town, kind of more like wildernessy too, and I just really enjoy books that are deeper like this. Like, you know, Archer, he has trauma in his past, so we're figuring that out, you know what I mean? And it is more emotional as well. This one I just finished recently. We have Tell Me Three Things by Julie Buxbaum. Listen to this completely on audiobook. Like, I haven't even looked through this book. Whoa. What is that? Is that supposed to be there? So this is following our... What is her name? Oh, Jessie. Yeah, I didn't know that. So this is following our main girl, Jessie. She is from Chicago, but she kind of gets forced to move to, is it LA or just California? She gets forced to move to LA because her dad remarried someone else who lives there. So she goes to a new school, and the school's like, you know, super fancy, like wealthy prep school. So she doesn't feel like she fits in. So someone anonymously messaged her, called SN, is kind of giving her tips about the school, people, things like that. So she kind of leans on them, obviously, because she like doesn't know anyone and is having trouble at school, but she doesn't know who they are. They're like, I'm not gonna tell you who I am, but I know who you are type thing. Kind of creepy. So this book is just kind of, you know, like your average YA teenage book. Like, there's drama between boys, there's friend drama, there's just like discovering yourself and all that. But I thought this one was good for the fall time, because it is school and it is back to school season. This is my first year not going back to school. Feels great. Feels great. Anyways, sorry to all you going back. But so this is set in that timeline, or just the vibe of school. So I thought this would be a good one. Maybe if you are struggling going to school, you could pick this up and it could help you through that, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I really liked this one, and it was so entertaining to me. Like, I picked it up on Libby, kind of just thinking it'd be like something to listen to while I'm doing like laundry and stuff, whatever. But I was like so into it. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it like 4.25. I really liked it. It was a lot better than I thought it'd be, so I highly recommend it. And it's set, like, I think was published in 2016. Yeah, so you get like that Tumblr era time. Like, they were literally talking about Tumblr now. Like, take me back to Wattpad, Tumblr, 2015 music, 2014 era. Like, anyways, I'm saving like the best two for last. And then we have Ghosted by J.M. Darhauer. This is a second chance romance, and this is like such a good book. I feel like it's kind of underhyped. This is like an indie version. I just got it on Amazon. I don't know if it's like traditionally published now, because I read it 2 years ago. Our main girl is a single mother, and she is working at a grocery store, just trying to provide for her child, all of that. Her child's father is essentially Superman. Like, he is the superhero actor in like this massive Marvel-esque franchise. So you kind of get snippets of their past relationship and also the present of him trying to come back into their lives. And I really liked this one because I feel like the kid really helped the story a lot, and sometimes, you know, children can annoy me. But with this one, the daughter made a lot of sense, and she was a great aspect to the story, and she really helped their relationship, I feel. I just love this one because because although it's literally about Superman, it still felt like realistic. Like the author was still able to make it feel realistic and down to earth and like it could happen, you know? So I really enjoyed it. I really liked this characters, and the setting was just like, it felt like it could happen in your neighborhood. Like I was like, oh yeah, that's my supermarket. No, it's not, but it could be, you know what I mean? Like it just felt really like it could happen and realistic. Like the author just made it so relatable. Not in the sense that I'm dating this superhero, but like, you know what I mean. I think I give this one 4.25, something around there. I really enjoyed it. And then the last two books I want to talk about kind of give the same vibes. So we have The 7-Year Slip and The Love of My Afterlife. So first up, The 7-Year Slip. This book I read last fall maybe, but so our main girl Clementine, she is living in her aunt's apartment, and her aunt has always been like, hey, this apartment's magical, whatever, and she hasn't believed her. But one day she gets home, or she wakes up, and then the apartment is set 7 years in the past. So she wakes up, the decor is different, the furniture is different, and there's literally a man in the kitchen, and she's like, she like opens the door and walks out and walks back in, and it's like, huh? So you follow her in a 7-year slip trying to figure out why the apartment keeps changing into 7 years in the past, who this guy is, and also there's a lot of lessons kind of about her present too, like her figuring out her life as well, and just life with some changes going on. I really loved the romance in this book, and I feel like it was so unique. The setting in New York made it perfect too for this to happen, and I really enjoyed watching our main girl grow, develop, and their relationship grow and develop. And with Ashley Pawson's book, The Magic isn't necessarily explained how it happens, it's just meant to be, so it happens. So I gave this book 5 stars, and I highly recommend. If this cover is not screaming fall, I don't know what is. It was adorable, and I might reread it this fall. And then the last book I recommend, but we still have to get to my TBR, is The Love of My Afterlife. This cover is not giving fall at all, but the content kind of is. So this follows Delphi, and she dies. Straight up. She gets plopped into this afterlife world that's literally like a laundromat, I think it was. And there's a lady there, and she is chatting about romance book. There's some author name drops in here that I was like, yeah, girl. So she gets plopped into this world, and this lady in the afterlife eventually decides to give her one more chance at life. So she says, you have 10 days to go back, find this guy, kiss him, and then you can live. If you don't do that, you're dead. She has 10 days to find a guy that popped into the afterlife laundromat with her for like a minute, or she dies again. You basically follow her as she's trying to do that. But what I loved about this book was the self-exploration and development that went on, because you see Delphi in the beginning of the book, and then at the end she's a completely different person, which like clearly she had a life-altering event, like literally altered the state of her living. She changed and developed in so many ways throughout the story, and I loved it. And I really enjoyed how this book was kind of more literary too, in the sense that it wasn't just a romance, you know what I mean? There was other stuff going on in her life. She was trying to figure everything out, and there was so many good side characters in this book. They literally carried. They were so good and made this story, and this book was a solid 5 stars. I loved it so much. It was perfection. Go read it. Okay, and then I just pulled a few books I want to read for the fall season, because, you know, I could make a giant list, and let's be real, it's not gonna happen, but I feel like this I could hopefully do. First up, we have The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. This book is so short, I have no reason to not have read it already. I don't really know much about this one, but I know it's like kind of magical realism like these two, and since I gave these both 5 stars, I hope I love this one. Oh yeah, so this is about our main girl Lucy, and this famous author Jack is supposed to have a contest at his house, and she is like chosen to compete. She has a chance to win the book, and I think there's something with a boy she adopts. I don't really know, but the cover is adorable, and I really think there's going to be a lot of, again, like this book and this one, just like life lessons sprinkled into here. And then I have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This book I've wanted to read forever, but it's kind of intimidating because your girl is not the best with history, and it is set in the World War II time, like historical fiction book, and I feel like I haven't read like a straight historical fiction like this. Like I've read historical fiction fantasy, but not like this ever, so I'm a little intimidated. It is a little chunky too, but but I really want to tackle this book because I just know it's gonna be a 5-star, which probably saying that I just jinxed it, but like I know it's gonna be highly rated. Obviously it's set in World War II, as I just said, and it tells the story of 2 sisters. I really think this is gonna be an emotional read, and the covers just makes me feel like I'm already gonna cry. Sticking with that same exact vibe, Lovely War. I think it starts off with the Greek goddesses, Aphrodite specifically, which I was obsessed with her and the other goddesses when I was younger, so I really like that it kind of ties the Greek mythology into here. So I think she is telling the story, and it's about, I don't know actually, but I've heard good things. And then I finally want to get to Emily Wilde's encyclopedia. I have not read a cozy fantasy yet. I own this one and then Legends and Lattes, and probably, I don't really know what else like classifies as one, but I have those 2 at least, and I've just been kind of nervous to start it because I feel like I'm scared that I'm gonna get bored or not connect to it as much, since it's like, you know, like more cozy and not a lot of action. But this one is about Emily Wilde, and she is simply going on collecting a diary of fairies. That's it. I'm sure it's more than that. I hope I get into the mood for this because I've kind of been putting it off because I just hope I love it, which I feel like I will, but I'm just intimidated. Convince me to read this. And then I also want to continue the Kingdom of the Wicked series so I can get to Throne of the Fallen eventually. I read the first one and I didn't really love it. Like, it just kind of was boring to me, but I have heard it picks up, so I really want to continue this series and then read Throne of the Fallen. I also want to start Zodiac Academy. I'm scared of this series and I don't know why. I don't even know what it's about. I've heard really good things, and I've also saw just, I feel like on TikTok when someone recommends books and like all the books are like books that I've also rated 5 stars, this one's also in there, so I'm like, okay, like I'm bound to like it, so I want to give it a shot. And then the last book I want to read is Ashley Poston's The Dead Romantics, because I will have read all of her books after reading this one. I think this one is set in fall time, maybe, I don't know, but I think so. She's a ghost writer, and I think a ghost actually appears. So yeah, it's another like magical paranormal-esque book, so I want to try this one out because it will be the last book of hers I haven't read. And okay, also 5 stars, 2.5 stars, so I'm really curious to see where this one lands. It really kind of tells all, because it could be 5 or it could be 2, you know what I mean, or it could be 3.5 in the middle. Who knows? But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you've read any of these books, let me know down below, and also let me know what is on your fall TBR because I would love to read it. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace out.